thank you for tuning in to another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, as always, where I can talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about my regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, whatever you get your podcasting apps from. Also, thank you to everybody tuning in via Facebook Live, YouTube live stream, and Twitter/Periscope. Check out the link below in the descriptions. My top 18 inside linebackers for this 2021 NFL Draft. Corners will be up shortly. Just finished safeties today. Basically just finished safeties. Just have to finish up a couple technical stuff in the article. But mostly all that's done, and I'm starting to look at quarterbacks. So all that stuff will be put out to all you guys as soon as it is released and put through all the complications, I guess the right word to say. So here's what we got today. Mike Tomlin Extension, NFL QB talk. Trey Lance, Pro Day to press teams. A super college football conference. What would that look like? NBA tiers. My last podcast I did was on NBA tiers. And Edwards, the rookie from Minnesota, he still doesn't know who Alex Rodriguez is, which is kind of crazy. So, and Steph Curry, he's been on a tear. So first, let's start with this. Happy 420 to everybody, for all those pot smokers out there. Happy 420 to all you guys. Hope you guys are blazing away. And in a safe manner as well. So first on the real agenda, what we have to talk about, Mike Tomlin signs a 3-year extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The contract will be going all the way up to 2024. I like this move with Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, throughout the tenure of his head coaching stint with Pittsburgh since 2009, I believe, or maybe less than 2009, maybe like 2007, I think. Around there, he has been the consummate professional, been one of the best coaches in the NFL, been a top 5 coach in the NFL. He's done it whether Ben Roethlisberger's been hurt, whether what's going on with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. He's gone with a defensive-driven team with the Troy Polamalu's and the James Harrisons and Lamar Woodleys of the world to a more offensive-centric team with the Ben Roethlisberger's, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster's, Le'Veon Bell's, all that. So he's been able to change it various variants of different ways. So shout out to Mike Tomlin. Great move by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Postrek on Twitter, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but he posted something that I thought was interesting. What he did was he did what was going to be all the 2021 starting NFL QBs, and 22 of 32 he said will be first rounders, which I think is interesting. Just look at this analytically. So 22 of the 32 roughly QBs that will be starting opening week of this upcoming NFL season, 22 of those 32 will be first rounders. 28 are top 75 picks. 13 could be on their rookie contract. 3 may extend prior to Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. And 12 will be on veteran contracts. And 3 have 4+ years of stability. Jacksonville, New York Jets, Kansas City Chiefs. Really interesting. Just look at the quarterback landscape. You guys take that for what you will. Trey Lance, in terms of him, he's moving up draft boards. Just had a pro day. Everybody's talking about Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. And I want to talk about this because it's a bigger discussion. Folks, you don't need to play quarterback at the big powerhouse school anymore. We had 2 quarterbacks in Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields who came up. We knew who they were in high school. They both went to big power programs, Ohio State and Clemson, respectively. And what has happened is, actually, Justin Fields went to Georgia and then transferred to Ohio State. But what has happened is we have seen guys like Zach Wilson at a BYU who nobody heard of, and Trey Lance at a North Dakota State who nobody heard of, who have elite athleticism, elite physical traits, elite arm talent in lesser conferences. Trey Lance playing in North Dakota State, which is a AA football school, and BYU, which is independent, not a Power 5 school. And they vaulted up draft boards, and they're going to be top 5. Zach Wilson is going to be going ahead of Justin Fields, and it looks like Trey Lance is going to be going ahead of Justin Fields. And some people are saying that Zach Wilson is rivaling Trevor Lawrence as the best QB available. So I think it's really interesting. You don't need to go to a big school for people to talk about you, for you to gain draft hype. Phil Simms went to a small school. Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, my guy, he went to a small school. Ben Roethlisberger went to a small school. You can still play well and still go to a small school. So I kind of want to know in the comments what everybody thinks about that. Do you have hesitance when you're looking at a quarterback if he played in a MAC conference, independent, if he played at a lesser Division I level or not in Division I at all? Like, what do you guys all think of that? Now I want to get to this. So the European Soccer League, they just announced that they were going to do this super big ultra league and merge everything. So what I thought was, how about I do this? top 12, and it's going to be 12 teams, right? 12 teams. How about I do this? Top 12 college football teams, if they were to do a big super college football team. What spurred this idea for me was, if you guys remember when this whole COVID yada 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 thing was going on, and there was a debate if there would be a college football season, people said that how about you just take a couple teams from, the SEC played its normal schedule because the SEC was going to play no matter what the hell was going on, and then you have Clemson, you had Ohio State, you had all those teams, right? So I said, if I were to create a super college football conference, who would the teams be? Alabama. And I did this a mix of how good are you right now, how good were you last year in your heritage. So Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M, Texas, Cincinnati, and Oregon. Now, I think there's a clear cutoff. The two teams that you can argue with are Cincinnati and Oregon. The Pac-12 has been god-awful, but I thought I'd give some representation to the Pac-12. They're going to have a top 5 pick in Penny Sewell in this upcoming NFL draft. Last NFL draft, they had a top 5 caliber guy in Justin Herbert. Next year, the likely number 1 pick is going to be a DN/edge rusher. I'm forgetting his name right now, out of Oregon. And a couple years before that, if you're looking down the line, NFL draft talk, they have some linebackers. So Oregon is able to recruit talent. That is something they've always been able to do. And they're always one of the most talented teams. So I said, you know what? Let's put, and they won the Pac-12, which is shameful, by the way, but they still won the Pac-12. So I decided, let's put them in here in this Super College Football Conference. Also, let's put Cincinnati in. They were the best out of all the Group of 5 schools. They did a really good job last year. They did a good job representing themselves. And by the way, they're returning all their starters. All 22 of Cincinnati starters are returning for next college football season. So if they were top 10 in the country last year, they were undefeated for most of the year. They were able to be competitive with the Georgia Bulldogs. Why not put them in this Super College Football Conference? I want to know, everybody in the comments, do you have an issue with Cincinnati or Oregon being on? And then the other big dogs, right? Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M, Texas. Would you take any of those teams out? Would you put a Michigan in? Would you put a Penn State in? Would you put a USC in for the Pac-12 people? Would you put a UCF in for the Group of 5 guys? Or a BYU for the independents? Or a Miami? Or a North Carolina who's been really good? And if you're looking at some other SEC teams, in terms of the West, and Auburn, right? Who else would you guys put in that you think I slept on? Or TCU, Big 12, Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Who would you guys put on? I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. So Steph Curry's been going on a tear. He broke Kobe Bryant's streak of 11 straight 30-plus point games for a 33-year-old. Steph Curry, he's just special. The shooting that he does is phenomenal. He's one of the funnest players to watch, and I also want people to comment on this. Is Steph Curry one of the most exciting players you guys have ever watched? He's really revolutionized the game. Kids, they're shooting from half court now. When he's kind of done with the spread pick and roll, people also forget as great of a scorer Steph Curry is. He's an underrated defender. He's a very good off-ball defender, and he's a willing team defender. And he's a good passer, good cutter. And a lot of his scoring, it doesn't only come from him having the ball in his hands and him dancing on you, him shooting threes. He can get to the hole. He can shoot mid-ranges if you dare him to. And also, he moves off screens. He's content moving off screens like a Ray Allen did or a Reggie Miller did. And he's going to do it that way. And you're like, how the hell are we going to chase this dude around? So Steph Curry, absolutely special. And Anthony Edwards, when talking about Alex Rodriguez being the new owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, he said, I didn't know who he was originally at first, but he said, they told me he's a Hall of Famer 1, and somebody told me he's like the Michael Jordan of baseball. Now, listen, I don't know what's worse for Anthony Edwards. Him saying that he doesn't know who Alex Rodriguez is when it's like they're giving a little steroid era. He's dating freaking J-Lo, for God's sakes. How the hell would you not know who Alex Rodriguez is? But then you said, a friend told me he's the Michael Jordan of baseball. That's just BS if I've ever heard one. Alex Rodriguez was not known for being the most clutchest athlete ever. Actually, Yankees fans, Alex Rodriguez was definitely not known for that. So just showing the lack of baseball knowledge that that Anthony Edwards might have. So as I'm getting my phone out, and this is the last topic we're going to talk about. So last podcast, a couple podcasts ago, I had my good friend on, my brother, my guy, Scotty Johnson, and we did NBA tiers. So I'm going to bless you guys with the knowledge that we kind of dropped when we did NBA tiers. And as I'm getting this up right now, NBA tiers, getting the Google Doc up right now. And here were the tiers that we did. So for the number 1 guys, here is who we had, as this is a little slow to load. For the number 1 guys, we had Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Bill Russell. We also had Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I put Dwayne Wade in there. Scotty did not. In terms of the second tiers of players, people that were not in were guys like that we had in the second tier were, as I'm thinking off the top of my head, because the Google Docs isn't working. See, this is what happens when you do it live. So in terms of second tier, we had guys like I put, for example, Kawhi Leonard. I believe I put Kawhi Leonard in my second tier. Scottie Pippen. We had a debate. Do you consider Kobe a second tier, right? Because he won the majority of his rings as a third option. The third tier, it was guys like a Chris Bosh. Even we put a Steven Jackson on. So that's what we did for NBA tiers. Everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Outside the Shop. Appreciate tuning in. Have a great day. Share this, whoever you're listening to.